Hello, in this video we look at Bhagavad Gita Chapter 2 verse 19. Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau navijanito nayang hanti nahanyate. Again with the text up. Oops. Here we are. Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau navijanito nayang hanti nahanyate. So enam is another form of the demonstrative adjective and pronoun. If you look at page 78 in Macdonnell at paragraph 102a, sorry, 112a. In fact, it's at the top of page 78. It's called a defective pronoun. Defective simply because it doesn't exist in all cases of the conjugation. It exists only in the cases that you see listed there. So enam is the accusative, masculine accusative singular. So it or this. You see, you see it in Pali as well. You sometimes see you sometimes see nang instead of tam, and that's the shortened form of the enam, the num. So it could equally have been said yam etam veti, who knows this, but enam is an alternative form of etam, who knows this. In other words, this atmanam or this sharirin, the Atman or the inhabitor of the Sharira. Veti, who knows? Ya enam veti, who this knows? Who knows this? Hantaram, to be the killer, or to be a killer. Who knows it a killer, which is the way of saying who knows it to be a killer, or more who understands it to be. Veti here is not really knowing, it's more regarding as it. It's like a false knowledge. He who falsely thinks he knows that somebody is a killer or killed, saying that's wrong. So who this knows the killer, who knows this, who understands this, or who regards this as being a killer, as somebody who kills. Yascha ena manyate hatam. Yascha, and who and whoever, manyate, considers, regards, enam, this, again, this soul, the self, hatam, as being killed. Ubhau tau, this is the dual form, this is the nominative dual, masculine. Ubhau tau, both them, both of them, both categories of people. Navijanita, do not know, or do not know correctly know, is the vijanita. This is the, so jna, to know, is a class 9 verb. So from jna, jnanati, he knows. So I say jnana, no, it's root jna. It's slightly irregular, as I'll show you. Oops. Let me call up iPad for this. You have the root jna. And it's a class 9 verb. That means that it inserts in the conjugation of it, it inserts the syllable na between the root and the personal ending. So, for example, we get the standard paradigm root kri, meaning to buy. He, she, it buys. So not kriti, but it adds in a na as just part of the conjugational stem, na. And in this particular verb, kri, of course, the n becomes subdotted because of the preceding ra. That's just a matter of internal santi. So krinati. Nya is also a class 9 verb. It's slightly irregular, as I'll show you. This asterisk, by the way, asterisk, I remind you, is just to show I'm showing you a deliberately incorrect form by way of illustration. You would expect, nya being a class 9 verb, you would expect to see nya nati, but it's not. What happens is slightly anomalously, the nya drops out. That is how you get the form janati. Janati. He knows, as you would have expected, jnanati. But just the nya drops out, janati. Najanami. I do not know. In class 9 verbs, you get what you call the weak stem and the strong stem. If you look at pages 102, 103 in MacDonnell, 9th class, there he's using the standard paradigm kri, meaning to buy. You'll see two forms of stem there at the top left of this table: krinami, krinasi, krinati. And as soon as the strong form, the weaker forms, is got a ni instead of a na. And helpfully, in his table, MacDonnell puts the strong forms in boxes. You'll see those bits that are boxed in. They're the strong forms, the unboxed ones, the weak forms. Look to the dual form. I'll just pause. So the dual form, if you look at the top left of the page, go parasmaipada, start with krinami, krinasi, krinati. So krinati, third singular he, she, it buys. Move one along to the right, you get krinitaha, which is the third person dual form of the parasmaipada. The two people buy krinitaha. This form that we see here in this verse, oops, I've called up the wrong thing for you. Sorry, I'm getting myself into a twist here. Here we are. The form that we see here, compare that with the bit you've just looked at in MacDonnell, krinitaha. This is vijanitaha. It's that same form. It's the third person dual parasmaipada of a class 9 verb. And this irregularity that I showed you, where the ny drops out, janati, that appears through all forms of the verb where you have a prefix as well. So you don't see vijnanami, you see vijanami. And that's why we have the vijanita, which by then santi becomes vijanito. It's the same form of or the same root plus prefix vi, which gives us vinyana, which is often translated as consciousness. That's not an entirely satisfactory translation, but it's the idea of the jnana knowing, vijnana in Pali. It's the idea of a split knowing, the kind of knowing that you know. It's used in that sense in Buddhism as the the conscious that you know, so not just being aware of it, but conscious that you're knowing that you know, like a vijnana, a split knowing. It doesn't always have that technical sense, that Buddhist technical sense. Here, um, navijanati, it just means perceiving, or being just they do not know. How about translate? They just yeah, that they do not know. So here it's just it was even something like they do not have the insight to know. They do not. They don't see into it. So ubhautau navijanito nayam hanti nahanyate. Na ayam. This ayam now. We've had asya, and now we have ayam, which is the nominative, the masculine nominative singular form. And again, I showed you that. It was on. It's the one that you'll see it at the. Again, back to page 76, paragraph 111 in Munir Williams. In that table there, you'll see ayam there as the nominative singular. So ayam, this, meaning this that we've just been talking about, namely the soul. Ayam hanti nahanyate. Hanti does not kill. Like veti, it is a class 2 verb. That is, that it adds the personal endings directly to the root with no other. So you do occasionally see hanati, but much more commonly it's treated as a class 2, hanti. In Pali, by the way, it's different. In Pali, you occasionally see hanti in the later, more Sanskritized form of Pali, but in earlier Pali, it's treated as a class 1 verb, hanati, but in Sanskrit, hanti. So we've got veti, we've got these two class 2 verbs in the same verse. We've got veti and hanti. I'll explain a little bit more there. I'll call up the iPad again. So han plus t added hanti. Vid, it takes the guna, so it strengthens the vowel. So in the strong form of the conjugation, so vid plus t, vid t, which then by internal santi becomes veti. And that explains the veti form that you've just seen. So that we've got the veti and the hanti, both as these class 2 verbs. So nahanti, nayam, that na ayam hanti, ayam nahanti, nahanyate, does not kill, is not killed, and is not killed. Remember that the hanyate is a pure passive. The classes of verbs, classes 1 through 10, that system of classes applies only in four tenses, moods, tenses and moods. And these are as shown in the tables that start at page 92 in MacDonnell. That's these classes apply only for the present, the imperfect, the imperative, and the optative, parasmaipada and atmanepada. just these forms that are given on those pages in Macdonnell. The passive, a different system applies. So when you're forming the passive voice of a verb, what class it's in is completely irrelevant because you apply a different rule, and a much simpler rule actually. The basic rule is that to make a passive, you just add ya to the root. So han plus the ya for the passive, and but it takes the atmanepada form. So hanyate is killed. And for example, vidyate. So you've got veti. Sorry, I'm writing on my iPad without showing it to you. Here we are. Veti, hanyate, vidyate. Vidyate, so veti, he, she, it knows. Vidyate, he, she, it is known. That's a pure passive. And it's very often used to mean, mostly in a negative sense, navidyate, literally it is not known. Mostly used to mean it doesn't exist. And so you mostly see navidyate. Sorry. And that turns up in Pali, navidyati. Mostly these atmanepada endings aren't used in Pali. Sporadically they are, but mostly not. So vidyate becomes vidyati in Pali, means it doesn't exist. Il n'y en a pas in French. No hay in Spanish. Navidyate. The verb form manyate that you see in the first line, let me call it back up for you. Manyate. You've got hanyate in line 2, manyate in line 1, but it's by different routes that they arrive at those forms. So hanyate is simply the passive form of han. Manyate actually is a class 4 verb, which means that it adds ya to its root to make this happens to be an atmanepada verb. So manyate, he, she, or it thinks or considers, is of the view. So it's not a passive, though actually it looks like one, and it's deceptively similar. Sometimes it's just in form, it looks the same as the passive. In fact, it's a class 4 atmanepada, third singular. So it means to consider. In fact, it's from the root man, where you get manas and our English word mind. So who minds it to be, who considers or who regards it as something. So ya enam veti hantaram, who knows it, here means considers it, regards it, who knows it to be or considers to be it as a hantaram, as a killer, yascha enam manyate hatam, and who regards it as being hatam, killed, ubhautau, both of those navijanito are unaware, they do not see properly. Na ayam hanti nahanyate. Ayam, this soul we're talking about, nahanti, does not kill, nahanyate, is not killed. The form hantaram, it's if you look at Macdonnell, paragraph 101, which is on
yeah, paragraph 101. It starts on page um, 62. It stems in ri, but the vast majority of these stems in ri are in fact in tri, tir, tri. Let me call up iPad again. Stems in tri are most commonly used for names of relationships, and also to make and separate to the names of relationships and root plus three, meaning the doer. So in names of relationships, we actually see it turning up fairly closely. Pater and mater in Latin, reflected in father, mother in English. We also see it in words like brother, sister, the tr, thr, thr, through the Germanic line. And the other most important function of them, of this tri ending, is to make a doer word, and this is the one that turns up in Latin as a tor, elocutor, a rector, a lector, preceptor. Is nouns in tor, meaning the doer of something. So we get, if you look at the page 63, we have in the stem form datri. In the masculine singular, the tri just becomes an a, da. A little bit confusing for the unwary because it looks like a feminine past participle. It's not. So the da is a giver, and it makes its accusative form dataram. And that's what we see in this verse here. Oops, I've now managed to lose my text boxes. I'll try and bring them back. Table design, borders, I've got them back. So the hantaram, yeah, in the hantaram, who knows it to be the killer. That's a regular formation from the root han. A killer is hanta, nominative. Hantaram is the accusative form. We see it in Pali as well. Deva Manusanam, Satta Deva Manusanam, the Satta, the teacher of gods and men. Let me just show you this one. It's from the root shas, meaning to teach, to instruct. Not to be confused, by the way, not to be confused with the root shas with a short which means to cut. Different words. So shas. So in Sanskrit, stem form shastri, meaning a teacher, masculine, and the masculine nominative singular form is shasta, and regularly accusative form shastaram. This shasta turns up, as we would expect, regular phonetic mutation, as satta, and in the Pali, in the Itipiso chant, that's where we get the Deva Manusanam Satta, teacher of gods and men. Now this yah, it's the relative pronoun and relative adjective as well. So yah meaning who or whoever. Note that it's the stem form is sorry, the nominative singular is yah with the visarga, and by regular sandhi the visarga ah followed by an e. By regular sandhi drops the visarga. That's what gives us ya enam. So yaha enam becomes ya enam. Also yaha followed by a cha. By regular sandhi again becomes yashcha. So ya enam veti hantaram yashchainam manyate hatam ubhautau navijanito nayam hanti nahanyate. So I'll read this through once more. Oops. Sorry, did I accidentally again forget to show you the iPad where I was saying something? I fear that I might. Anyway, here is the my manuscript of what I was saying. Data dataram shastri shasta shastaram, which becomes in Pali satta. So we'll wind up now with a final reading. Ooh, what am I looking at? Oh, so, here we are. Ya enam vetti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau navijanito nayang hanti nahanyate. Once more. Ya enam vetti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau navijanito nayang hanti nahanyate. And that's it on this video.